In this video, traders, we're going to look at famous trading blow-ups. Stay tuned. Hey traders, a very warm welcome to you. So I have for you today 8 famous trading blow-ups. I've got my computer here because I want to look at the details of them. Some of them are new, I've researched for you, and I'm sure some of them you're familiar with, but I want to have the exact details of these, and let's see what went wrong with these guys. Right, Societe Generale. Do you remember this guy? This guy was Jérôme, how do you pronounce his name? Kerviel? I remember the guy now because I remember he went on kind of a walk. It was due to check in at prison. He went on some kind of protest walk. There's a lot of backstory about that. And actually, let me know if you want to do a video on that. Maybe that's something for the future. But ultimately, he made bets or trades that he wasn't supposed to do that were kind of 50 billion euros worth of unauthorized trades, which is pretty hefty in anyone's book, between 2005 and 2008. And I actually remember trading during this period. And I'm sure when they were unwinding it, it was like DAX positions, and it basically uncoupled the DAX and FTSE relationship. A good trading friend of mine was trading the DAX and FTSE as a pair trade, and it kind of messed the whole thing up. I think that was when it was. Anyway, the bank had a net loss of 4.9 billion euros. So here we are, 4.9 billion, and it's euros. That's a pretty hefty sum. All right, what have we got next for you? Long-term capital management. You're probably all aware of this one. A couple of books have talked about this one. Basically, 1998, they lost $4 billion. And basically, this was a start of a kind of real cascade of stuff. And if we look at some of the notes here that I've got, it's basically triggered a market crisis after Russia defaulted on its debt. And ultimately, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York gave these guys a bailout of 3.6 billion so that they could stay afloat long enough to liquidate the positions. So they were in such a bad position that basically, if they'd gone under, it would just be catastrophic, because the positions or the counterparties to the trade, the damage to the market would have been huge. So they had a temporary bailout so they could cover the positions and do as least damage as possible. But of course, when wind gets out, there's something that's going on like that, then the sharks start circling. So what are we going to put on this? We're going to put a £4 billion loss on that. Pretty hefty. We're getting some big numbers here. All right. Amaranth Advisors. I remember this one. This was the old natural gas one, wasn't it? If you recall this one, when was it? What year was it? 32-year-old trader named Brian Hunter. I remember this one well. I remember reading an article of this. 2006. He lost 6 billion on natural gas bets and basically just completely wiped the thing out. Now, there was a bit of an interesting backstory to this one. I can't remember why he got involved in it so heavily, but something happened. Again, let me know if you want to go into depth of this one, which is your favorite out of this one, and I'll definitely do some videos on it, because this is interesting from perspective of what we can learn from. But I remember this guy, I remember reading the articles, and he was really caught out on this natural gas stuff. All right, not heard of this one. It's a new one for me, but I found it for you guys. Sumitomo Corp. Basically, Japanese gentleman called Yasuo Hamanaka, also known as Mr. Cooper. Fair enough, that's easier for me. Mr. Cooper, he spent 8 years in jail for fraud and forgery after admitting in June 1996, so before I actually started trading, so this is why I probably don't remember him, for running up losses of 2.6 billion in unauthorized copper trading. Oh dear, Mr. Cooper. That isn't going to do very well for you. And how long did he spend in jail? 8 years for it. Okay, that looks like out and out fraud, unauthorized copper trading. Wonder why he chose copper. That'd be interesting to do a bit more research on that one. All right, Barings. We all know about Barings. Nick Leeson. Have I got the book? Book Rogue Trader. There's a film Rogue Trader as well. Talks, obviously dramatizes the thing, but that's quite interesting if you want to learn the story about the Barings Bank collapse. Anyway, he was in Singapore. He was trading Nikkei futures. 1995. Basically, this is a really interesting story, but anyway, basically he tried to hide a lot of trades he was doing, and ultimately he lost 1.3 billion and actually collapsed Barings Bank, which had been around for a long period of time. Without going into too much depth, because I want to run through all of them, he was long Nikkei futures, and I believe the kind of thing that really hammered it home and killed him was there was an earthquake in Japan, and he woke up and he realized the futures were limit down or something. He was long a ridiculous amount of futures. He tried to disguise it by selling options and using the premium to fake the accounts, something like that. But ultimately, anyway, the result of it was 1.3 billion. He did some time inside, and managed to bring down Barings. Interestingly, you know, a lot of, I've not read the in depth of this guy here, Mr. Cooper, but I know a lot of these people didn't necessarily set out to defraud, but it kind of got too much for them. So that's an interesting theme behind that perhaps we can take from as retail traders, that hey, digging a hole, you know, knowing when to stop, admit it, cutting the loss and get out before the hole is so big. Now, obviously, as retail traders, the hole can be as big as our account, or whatever we've got, we can put in the account, we can lose it all, and that's it. Whereas these guys have got access to serious kind of buying power, can do a lot of damage. Anyway, let's move on. What have we got here? Daiwa Bank Limited. This guy, Toshihide, I've not heard of this guy, to be honest with you. He spent 12 stressful years trying to hide and recoup what became a 1.1 billion. Well, this guy's a big loser. He lost 1.1 billion in the bond market. That's not very good, is it? Where is it? In the New York branch, in the 1980s and 90s. So I've not heard of this one. That'd be interesting to do a bit of research on that. 1.1 billion. That's pretty hefty for the 1980s and 90s. Not sure what that'd be worth now. A lot. All right, Allied Bank. What have we got here? Allied Bank, Baltimore-based currency trader for Allied Irish, John Rusnak. He was sentenced to 7.5 years because he was hiding his losses of $691 million. Oh dear John. He pled guilty in October 2002. That's the lowest loss out of the lot. And interestingly, must have been something pretty bad about that for him to do 7.5 years, when Mr. Cooper, who lost an awful lot more, he did the similar kind of time inside. All right, last one I've got for you guys is Bear Stearns. Of course, Bear Stearns. They lost 1.6 billion because they were highly leveraged up in stuff they shouldn't have been. The hedge fund got caught out. That was mid 2007, and it was the first trigger or sign of distress in the credit market. Okay, we have for you 8 famous trading blow-ups. Who's got the prize for the most? Oh, the natural gas guy, Brian Hunter, 6 billion. Not far off here, 4.9 billion euros for Jérôme. Long-term capital management, 4. And the one who got away with the least was the Allied Irish. What was he trading again? He was trading, let's say what he was, oh, currencies. I wonder what currency he was trading. Anyway, let's not go anywhere near that, but lessons we can learn from it, and interesting nevertheless. All right, guys, take care. See you in the next one. Goodbye.